Well, ladies and gentlemen, we are almost at the end of another year of GTA Online, which means it's time to pop open the microwave and reheat the age-old question. Cayo Perico Solo versus Casino Duo. Which is better? This debate has been going on forever at this point, and Cayo apologists have always maintained the upper hand over Casino purists due to the simple fact that Cayo's optimized from the ground up to be done entirely solo, including all of the prep work. And since you can't buy friends on the internet, most GTA Online players just head into the game solo and do a Cayo per day to keep the poverty away. Ever since the heist released, I've made hundreds of millions of dollars from spamming Cayo, and I'm absolutely sick of it. But at the same time, I've probably made a similar amount of money from the Diamond Casino Heist since launch, and if you pay a visit to the Heist team's Discord, you'll almost always find someone who's willing to do the Diamond Casino finale with you. And these are usually competent players who've done the heist dozens or even hundreds of times, and they are far better than the average rando that you're gonna run into in GTA Online public lobbies. But is the casino heist actually worth the additional hassle? Or should you just stick with Cayo maxing forever and bore yourself to death so you can finally afford those super expensive mansions? Well, let's find out. Starting with the prep missions, which will take up the majority of your time no matter which of these two heists you do. Cayo has exactly 6 prep missions in total, starting with Gather Intel, which is probably the longest of them all, and this will roughly take you 8 to 10 minutes by itself if you get a bad spawn for the Vellum, like Procopio Beach. But if you get Lago Zancudo, you can cut that completion time down by a whole 1 to 2 minutes, and there's a trick to getting better spawns here. For that, you want to start your Kasaka off in Sanchiansky, so fast travel over there before you pay the $100,000 setup fee and begin the Gather Intel mission. Not only does this place you in the middle of the map, but it also gives you a better chance to spawn the Vellum in either Lago Zancudo or one of the Grapeseed locations. Then once you arrive at the island, simply follow this route that I'm showing here to get to the communications tower as absolutely as fast as possible. Once that's done, you have 5 more prep missions to do. The approach vehicle, 3 equipment missions, as well as unmarked weapons. I do approach vehicle and unmarked weapons first, then I do the 3 equipment missions. Depending on whether you get the bearer bonds or not, you may or may not have to do the security code mission, and I have a separate video on how to do all Cayo Perico preps in the shortest time, so check that out. But if you do get bearer bonds, your total prep time will go up by about 2 minutes, since it takes a little bit longer than the plasma cutter mission. Especially if you don't already own a penthouse in the casino, in which case you'll have to approach from the main door and find the elevator key from the trunk of a car. As for the approach vehicle, I usually go with the long fin, but if I get both paintings in Rubio's office, I'll take the Kasaka instead, as it's faster in that particular scenario. And for my weapons loadout, I usually go with aggressor, but you could take whatever loadout you like. It really doesn't matter since we'll be doing the finale in complete stealth. In total, Cayo prep work shouldn't take you more than 40 minutes maximum. Now let's talk about the Diamond Casino prep missions. Diamond Casino has both general prep work as well as approach specific prep work, and there are also some additional optional missions like Duggan shipments and the level 2 security pass that will make your life a whole lot easier in the finale, so if you include those, you'll end up needing even more time. Thankfully, you can skip some of the preps entirely as well simply by paying for the equipment. I like to pay for my security pass. It costs $70,000 and it's well worth it, as I won't have to deal with the annoying keypad hack, which might be the single most difficult hack in all of GTA Online. Then I also do guard patrol routes, so I have more warning time as I turn a corner, but you could skip this if you want. All it does really is make the positions of the security guards available to you throughout your run, but if you've already memorized the patterns, you don't need this prep mission. Then we have weapons and vehicles. Both of these prep missions are best done with a duo, but I've got a trick here that'll make the weapons prep much easier, and here's how it works. The Diamond Casino Heist has multiple variants of each prep mission, and they're all spawned at different locations. Sometimes you'll get a location that's close to you, other times you'll get a variant of the mission that involves a lot more legwork, like the infamous noose van chase with the weapons prep, where you have to run after 4 different noose vans and blow the doors off to see which one contains the weapons crates. But what a lot of new players don't know is that you can actually change the mission that you get simply by loading into a new invite-only session. If you have a personal quarters in your arcade, which you should have if you're grinding the Diamond Casino Heist, you can simply hop into a new session, spawn right inside your arcade, and re-roll the mission from the prep board until you get one that's easy. And for weapons prep, the easiest one you can get is the Palomino Highlands spawn, where all you have to do is fly there, go into the yellow circle, blow up this boat, then get into the Tula and fly it to this airfield over in Sandy Shores. That's it. You've now collected both weapon crates without firing a single shot. Then for your vehicle prep, the best one is the valet mission. I usually go with the Sentinel Classic, but in reality, it doesn't matter which car you choose since we're going to use the Police Maverick parked above the La Mesa station, and I'll show you how to get there in the finale section. I should also point out that if you're going to grind Diamond Casino heists, you need to alternate between two approaches, so become proficient at either Big Con plus Aggressive or Big Con plus Silent and Sneaky. No matter which duo you pick, make sure Big Con is in there as it's the easiest of all three if you go with the Group Sex entry as well as the Noose Disguise for your exit. If you're doing the Silent and Sneaky approach, you'll have to do a few more prep missions like Nano Drones and Vault Lasers, but both of these are extremely easy with an Oppressor Mark II, and since you have a duo, you can get all the prep work done in roughly 45 to 50 minutes maximum. Closer to 40 minutes if you're a seasoned Diamond Casino grinder, and that's honestly just 5 to 7 minutes more than what it takes to do all the prep work for Cayo Perico as a solo player. The main difference here is that Cayo doesn't really benefit from having two players do all the prep missions, but with the Diamond Casino heist, you can literally cut some of the mission times in half if you have two players helping versus just one. Then, once you're in the finale, you have multiple pathways with Diamond Casino, depending on which entry point and exit point you choose, as well as the approach you take. The same goes here for Cayo, but if you're gonna Cayo max, there's only one viable option: long fin with the drainage tunnel entry, and perfect stealth throughout your entire run, culminating in the bike jump escape off this cliff right here. With Casino, if you're doing Big Con, you just walk in, swipe your key cards, grab the loot, and walk out into the laundry area where you can put on your Noose Disguise. Then you grab the fire truck and follow this route that I'm showing to get to the La Mesa police station, where you'll find a helicopter waiting for you up on the rooftop. With both heists, you need to complete them in under 15 minutes without restarts and also maintain stealth if you want to get the Elite Challenge reward. Now let's talk about the loot values of each. Which heist pays more? With Cayo, you have Tequila at the absolute bottom. This is the worst loot you can get, and also the most likely one because it has a 60% spawn rate if you're playing within 72 hours from your last playthrough. Then there's the Ruby Necklace with a 15% spawn chance if you're playing within 72 hours from your last playthrough, and a 40% spawn chance if you're playing after the 72-hour mark from your last playthrough. It pays $700,000 versus Cinsamito's 630 grand. One tier up, we have Bearer Bonds, which are the mid-tier loot for Cayo, and these pay $770,000 in normal mode or $847,000 if you're in hard mode, and have similar spawn rates to the Ruby Necklace. Finally, we have the Pink Diamond, which has a 10% spawn chance if you're spamming Cayo and a 20% spawn chance if you wait more than 3 real-life days between each Cayo run. The Pink Diamond is quite rare, and it pays $1.3 million in normal mode or $1.43 million in hard mode. Casino has cash at the very bottom, artwork in the middle, and gold at the top. Cash has a potential of $2.1 million. Artwork is worth $2.35 million, and gold is worth $2,580,000. As you can see, these three are clustered pretty closely to each other with only a few $100,000 difference separating them. And it's not like Cayo where the Pink Diamond is worth nearly twice as much as Tequila. And I usually get $1.1 million or so in the Diamond Casino if I'm stealing cash, and $1.6 to $1.7 million if I'm stealing the artwork, versus Cayo where I get $1 million with Tequila and $1.1 million with Bearer Bonds in normal mode. But you also have to take into account the $100,000 setup fee for Cayo Perico, as well as the $70,000 cost for the security pass with the Diamond Casino. Now let's talk about execution. Which heist is harder to pull off? In terms of prep work, both are about the same, with Diamond Casino taking a lot longer if you're solo and only slightly longer if you have a duo. But in the finale, it really comes down to your approach. Big Con with the Diamond Casino, in my opinion, is even easier than the Cayo finale, as you literally have zero resistance whatsoever. There is no stealth check, and the only real difficulty spike is the fingerprint hack, which can be done in under 15 seconds if you get some practice in. And if you're in a duo, here's the strat. You can send one guy to hack all the gates while the other collects the loot. If it's paintings, you can get it done with 40 or more seconds to spare. If it's gold or cash, you better select Paige Harris as your hacker since she's gonna give you the most time inside of the vault. But if you're going the silent and sneaky route, you're gonna need a lot more timing, and every movement has to be precise if you don't want to set off the alarm. It's a lot harder than Cayo and next to impossible if you have some rando from a public lobby who joined you. However, it's still more than doable if you get yourself a friend or a teammate from the Heist Team's Discord, or you can also feel free to join my own Discord linked in the description below. We have a lot of people over there from the Hazard Gang that are looking for heist partners on all platforms: PC, Xbox, and PlayStation. And here's another quick tip to get the best loot type with Diamond Casino. Casino. As soon as you find cash, while you're still in the restroom, call up Lester and tell him to cancel the heist. Then join a new session and return to the planning board, pay the $25,000 setup fee, and you'll have a new type of loot right there ready to go. You can't do this with Cayo for two main reasons. First off, the setup fee is a whopping $100,000. Secondly, canceling the heist will force you to do the gather intel mission again, unlike Diamond Casino, where the new loot just spawns in and it's ready to go. You don't have to repeat the vault contents mission. Personally, I think both heists are equally viable for players, and Casino Duo is actually better for grinding simply because of the fact that you get a 48-minute cooldown rather than a 2-hour and 24-minute cooldown like with Cayo when you're playing solo. But if you're just doing one heist a day and you absolutely do not want to bother with finding another friend in a Discord group, and you just want to do something that's well proven, something that's easy to master, then yeah, Cayo is going to be hard to beat here. With some practice, you can practically sleepwalk through the finale without breaking stealth in 10 to 11 minutes easy, as I've demonstrated in my own Cayo stealth guide, and the total completion time, including all preps, shouldn't take you more than 50 to 55 minutes, absolutely maximum, especially if you're using a Sparrow helicopter. But if you're one of those players who likes a challenge, if you like doing heists with more variables that also demand a higher level of execution from the player, and if you prefer teamwork to lone wolfing all the time, I think Diamond Casino is perfect for you. It feels more like a classic heist compared to Cayo with all the security cameras, heavily armed guards, digital keypads, hacks and whatnot, and you need proper coordination to make it through, unless you're playing Big Con, in which case all you need is a teammate with an IQ that's bigger than their shoe size, and you'll easily walk away with over $1 million in your loot bag, even if you get the absolute worst possible loot, which is cash. And if we're comparing mid-tier loot versus mid-tier loot, for example, bearer bonds versus artwork, Diamond Casino actually pays out a lot more money. If you do all the prep work solo and take the 85 to 15 split in the finale, I did this once with artwork using the Big Con approach, and the host made $1.7 million after all the cuts, while my solo bearer bonds playthrough in Cayo only gave me $1,058,000 in comparison. But anyways, that's all I have for this video. Ultimately, I think it comes down to personal preference and whether you're a one and done sort of player or someone who likes to grind multiple heists a day, because to be honest, the true GTA Online grinder is probably going to play both. But as always, don't forget to like this video if you found it informative and helpful. Thank you so much for watching. Please consider subscribing to the channel if you are brand new and you want to see more GTA 5 online content like this. Check me out over on Twitch, Twitter, and Instagram, specifically twitch.tv/HazardousHDTV for more GTA Online money grinding live streams. It is the GTA 6 waiting room over on there. And until then, I'll see you guys in the next GTA Online video. Adios, amigos.